viewpoints and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Scarefest Television for the date of February 21st, 2025, in the lead up to Scarefest 16, right? Yeah.
17.
17. Goddamn COVID. Messed me up. I haven't been able to count since then. Actually, and also, interestingly enough, I'll say it in a minute here, but also forgot how to count months. My co-host tonight, everybody, Katie Followell, it's her triumphant return.
Hello, everybody.
When have you been an actual co-host since like Scarefest?
Have you had any paranormal? I
It's
came
not
on for
that,
the
Katie.
holidays.
Every time I've invited you to co-host, you've been out stomping around a building in the dark somewhere, ghost hunting.
Yeah, and I went to wrestling.
Oh, yeah. And she went down and fornicated in Gatlinburg one weekend. She's just busy. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And now, my guest tonight, Shay Smith. Shay Smith, who many of us in the Lexington area know as a gifted psychic. And she was a presenter at Scarefest, and we'll be talking to her tonight. Joe Lewis will be reviewing a movie called Eli, which I've never heard of. And it's an old movie. I don't know how he finds these movies. And for the record, I'm just going on record right now. Everyone else in the council is on the road tonight going to other conventions. I'm the only person home tonight. So this is what you get. So, getting on to our guest now. Shay, known you for quite a while.
Yes.
She presented, what was the name of that? I wrote it down here. The Psychic Life, Recognizing, Growing, and Protecting Your Spiritual Gifts. Now, everyone, Shay is a psychic. She is a nurse. And incidentally, I've been watching The Resident. Have you ever watched that?
I think I have watched a little bit of it.
It seems to be, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight, more medically correct. I picked it out the first, now, drama-wise, God, if I worked here, I would already put a bullet in my head. But, medically, I caught the very, first episode, somebody's heart stopped, and somebody said, get the paddles, and some doctor said, that don't do any good. It's literally stopped. And I said, that's a good call. That's like, you don't just jumpstart a heart. You have to actually do work. So, that impressed me. So.
I'm going to have to pay more attention because some of the shows, like the x-rays will be backwards or something. When they're looking at them, they're like, oh, here's the heart, and it's on the opposite side. And there's a lot of stuff in some of the shows.
Yeah. Well, I haven't noticed that because I don't read x-rays. So therefore, I would feel terribly, terribly unqualified to do that. Now, let's get on with your psychic life. Okay. Since your presentation was called The Psychic Life, Recognizing, Growing, and Protecting. Oh, I want to read the whole blurb on it here. I do have that pulled up. What did I do with it? There it is. Have you often thought that you may have some abilities, higher intuition, see the world as others do not, or you just tend to know things that you shouldn't? Then this is the perfect seminar for you. Whether you are a beginner or a long-time metaphysical worker, this is a how-to seminar. Misplaced that. This how-to seminar will touch on subjects and tools of the trade that all of us can find useful and interesting to have in our metaphysical or paranormal toolbox. Come hear about my personal experiences from growing up as a psychic medium and what advice and knowledge I have gathered throughout the years that has helped me in all the crazy encounters I've experienced. Okay, my green screen went out. Now, first thing I want to know, in your Facebook profile photo, you're like eating a tarot card. I didn't know you read tarot much.
Yes. Tarot is probably primarily what I do. It's what most people tend to ask for if you're
Really?
because yeah, thanks to COVID, most of my stuff, a lot of the things throughout the year are done like video chatting and like Zooms and stuff. So I'm more than happy. I've done some of the pictures and drawn some of the art, but it's not the same for the experience for like the person getting it done. But tarot and oracle, the drawings, the mediumship, healing, stuff like that, that's all what I do.
Well, see, they might. Now, the only time I've had a reading from Shay that I remember was she did her. Describe what you do artwork wise.
Okay, so I call it spirit art. It's really just intuitive art. It is like getting a reading with cards, except I don't use the cards. I actually draw the reading, and it has to do, the colors mean something. Everybody's picture looks different. The shapes have meanings, symbols show up, numbers show up, things I don't see, people might see while I'm drawing it. So you can still ask questions just like you do during a tarot reading. You can still do just a general for whatever comes up, but then you get to take it with you, and it's personalized. So it's everybody likes it because they can have it, look back at it later, and kind of reference the reading they got to what might be happening in their life right now.
And the one I still have mine around here somewhere.
Yep.
I should have dug that. I have no idea where it is. It's on a bookshelf downstairs somewhere.
I know exactly where both of ours are.
Okay, well,
You know.
what impressed me about it, and people, now this is my endorsement of Shay as a psychic. She had one part in particular of the reading that literally like 4 people on the face of the planet knew that particular day, and she was not privy to that very small group. So I'm just going to throw that out there. She actually did pull something out of thin air that nobody knew. So, I'm impressed. Now, since it's in the title, recognizing, growing and protecting your spiritual, how does a person recognize their spiritual gifts?
For everybody, I think it's different. There is like if you are not someone who knows like right from jump, like when you're very, very little, that you're doing things that are different from other people, there's kind of a spiritual awakening. There's not really a better term for it. If you just feel like you're different, if things just kind of happen, or you just know things, or you're always hearing things or seeing things, I mean, I believe everybody has a spiritual gift and has some sort of ability. I just think some of us listen to it, or for some of us, it's stronger. So basically, whatever's weird about you, if you start digging into it, sometimes you're going to discover that you do have abilities.
You can just stumble into it like I did. Katie, over to you.
Well, hello. I didn't get to meet you last year, I don't think, at the show.
I don't think we did.
I don't think so. So I'm totally like fascinated by this. So when did you realize that you were coming into these gifts?
So I have always seen things. I've always seen spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I can remember stuff as far back as like my brother being a baby, and there's like 2.5 years between us. So I kind of have always gravitated towards the kind of the odd stuff and the not normal things. And it really didn't hit me hardcore until I was like 11, 10, 11, 12. And I had a conversation with my dad on a battlefield. We were on a ghost hunt, and I told my dad what the spirit said before they played the EVP back that they passed. And it was like word for word. It was at Perryville here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
It was word for word what the spirit said. And my dad was just like, "We're not going to tell your mom." That was his first thing. And I was like, it was like validation that I wasn't crazy, because that was the first like professional ghost investigation I'd ever been on. So from there, I was like, okay, there's something to this. So I just kind of played around with stuff, would get cards and do readings for my friends as I got a little bit older into like high school and stuff. And it kind of grew from there. I never stopped seeing things. I've always been like, I've always known things about people I shouldn't know sometimes. And it kind of makes you feel super out of place or kind of like a bitch every now and then because you're like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't like this person for no reason at all other than I just don't like their vibe. So I don't, it's just something that's always been there. And the older I got, the more digging I did, the more friends I made and places I showed up. And I finally found people like me. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are other people in this world, not just on television that I watch. So that's kind of what happened.
I have like so many, like, we're coming up on our first break. So I'm going to try to make my question as quick as I can. But is this always on, or do you have to like go into like a state? Because like sometimes I see somebody that I'm like, that person's a bitch and she's never done anything to me, but I can just tell. But like, is that intuition, or is that I really might just
So
be a bitch?
that's intuition. It is intuition. You kind of have to learn to differentiate between your actual just dislike for somebody versus I've got a vibe going on that I do not care for. But this is something that's always on. I always see things. I always hear things. You kind of learn how to filter or not shut out, but kind of filter or ignore or set boundaries energetically with things because I like having my tuition kind of turned on, especially at work if I'm working with patients. It helps. Sometimes it has helped a lot. So you kind of just read this like the situation you're in.
Okay. Well, we are up on the first break of the hour. Wes, I'll hand it over to you.
And we'll be right back with more Scarefest TV.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Roomorg magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Subasati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Roomorg, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
And we're back with more Scarefest TV, and our guest tonight, psychic medium Shay Smith. I assume you approve of the word medium. I've talked to psychics that did not like that word.
That's because a psychic and a medium are not the same thing.
But you actually fuck around with ghosts, so I'm going to throw you into that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So you're cool with it?
I do. Yes, I'm 100% okay with that.
Okay. See, that's all I ask. But because
Yes.
you're a woman, you had to make a big deal out of it.
Oh my!
Excuse me. Like, wait till I see
Damn
you
it,
again.
Wes!
It's fine.
Now, I want to, okay, I've got to give a shout out in the chat room to Chris Harris. He said we both had the same headgear on, but I'm throwing gang signs.
Oh,
So,
You don't know what you're saying.
I have no idea. I do. Okay, now, serious question. How does being a psychic play in the medical field? I don't just mean how you might read hospitals, and I'm assuming most doctors' offices, over time, by my theory, tend to get haunted.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so that's what I'm just thinking. I get distracted if the TV's on too loud. How in the hell does a psychic / medium work in that environment and get shit done?
So, I will say, even at work, if something creepy happens, like there is a particular building I do work in, not just the hospital, that there are spirits there. And the people have started to recognize that and they come find me now. And they're like, so, the third floor, what the hell is that? And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. So I set boundaries. I can project energetically kind of if I don't want to be bothered by something. You just kind of learn to tell them, not today, not right now. I can't do this. I'm actually working. Before I realized that, I used to have a lot of stuff happen at work. And there was one day that I had like a whole vision happen to me working the front desk. And I had to like immediately take a break and be like, so, hey, mentor, what the hell was this? So I've learned to either ignore, talk to them and tell them come back later and make an appointment, or energetically just put a boundary up for the heck no, we're not doing that today.
Fair
So,
enough. I know.
yeah.
Okay. Somehow in my life, I have collected the knowledge of a lot of nurses, meaning I'm friends with a lot of nurses over the years and people that work in hospitals. And I find very few agnostics in that group. In other words, they all have a ghost story, it seems. And from, and it's the old ER, like up to Harrison Memorial, the old emergency room, that's where, people see things in that area. And I always have found it very, very interesting that how many these, bring people to their come to Jesus moment, if you will.
Yes, almost every person I've ever met, I don't care who it's been, they'll be like, I don't believe in ghosts. But there was this one time back in 1974, and I'm like, all right, so cool. I don't know what it is. I've heard a lot of stories from people at a lot of hospitals about weird stuff. I don't know if it's just people passing there or if it's the fact that a lot of traumatic events, whether or not it ends in death, happens at hospitals. So you have that type of energy too that could be lending to other things that are there that could hype up whatever a situation might be. So that's my theory.
Do you ever leave and have a spirit? This is from the chat room. Do you ever leave and have a spirit that tries to follow you home?
Absolutely. Absolutely. From investigations, from conventions, from work, anywhere really. I've not really had too many succeed in that. Waverly, I had one succeed, but I wasn't going to my own home. So I took him back. Don't worry. I didn't leave him at my friend's place, but I don't care because, it's a kid. Kids are kind of creepy already as, alive.
Well, I don't mean that once you keep him around. I didn't mean that, but it's like, I'd have just thrown him out in the yard. That's.
I took him back. Okay. But yeah, no, a lot of them try, but I also have my car kind of warded and protected so that it also is kind of like force fielded. So
Now, before I toss it to Katie, one more no, I'm just going to add on that. See, now I've never had one try to follow me home, but I've had them meet me on the way to where I'm going. I'm convinced a couple, 3 times, but never tried to follow me home. Katie, over to you.
I agree. And I just wanted to tell you, so I'm in Danville and our hospital has Miss Chase, that she's like an old lady nurse that died in a horrible elevator accident. Like you can find like the newspaper article about it that she got beheaded on the elevator.
Danville's creepy to begin with. Let me just throw that out there. Okay.
It is, but man, like I can't figure out what it is, but like people are very scared of that in Danville and Boyle County. Like Perryville, they're like, yeah, we got ghosts. Come talk to them. Yep. Everywhere else in the county, they're kind of like, no. But
I worked in a clinic in Danville for a hot second when I was with a certain company, and that whole town it has its own feel to it. It's very, you just feel like something's always about to happen. It's really strange.
I work at the library downtown, and like what we had happen down there is it only happened at a public investigation. I don't know what it was. I don't know who it is, but we had this book fall off the shelf in front of a group of people, and I've been there since then and never had that happen to me again. So we wondered, is that energy that travels around town? Like it was just super weird. But enough about me. So I am a ghost hunter, and I try to be skeptical, but I also do believe of using your intuition, following your gut with that. But I've come across people in the field that I don't know any other way to say it. They say they're psychic, but they're bullshit. And so like, how do you like, can you tell when somebody's like making that up? Like,
yes.
Okay. How can we tell as investigators that that's bullshit? Like,
oh God. Okay, first off, for us, those of us who are sensitive, who are mediums, who are psychics, who can do those kind of things, you just, I don't know how to explain it. It's not even just a feeling. You just know. It's instantly like, no, go home. Um,
Yeah.
I, d- okay, if I flipped over and I wasn't using any of my abilities, because I have encountered a lot of people like that doing different types of investigations and stuff. Um, Sometimes there's really nothing you can say to them. It does not matter. But I think matching it up with evidence that you can collect to kind of see if what they're saying is matching to what you're getting, either like EVPs, cold spots, or I don't know if meters are going off, whatever it might be. Um, Sometimes I have noticed that activity will just stop. If this person just goes on a rant and just starts talking to something, and you're like, this has never been here before. I've never heard this. Is not documented. I'm not saying everybody like that is not being honest, because I hate to say that, because not all of us can see the same things. We might get different interpretations from a location, but I have noticed activity will stop after that. It will just die, or it'll happen away from this person. It might have been right in front of them, and now it's on the other side of the wall or the other side of the room. Um, a lot of times you just got to go with your gut too. I think it's sometimes it's easy to tell if someone's being sincere if they're seeing something.
It's
But
it's
I'm
it's
it's
hard.
infuriating because it's disrespectful, I think, to the location and to the team and stuff. So it bothers me, but I very rarely have called somebody out. I've never done it like outright. I've always been like, that's interesting because I've got this going on over here and da 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 da. Like, I don't think I've ever walked up to someone and been like, you need to just, shut your face because this is trash. So
Yeah,
I wanted to.
I had to do that once because even I don't know if I'm sensitive. I don't know. I don't know what my gift is. There's something to it, but I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But
You've got something.
there's I
We
don't
can
know
talk
what it
about it
is.
if you want later.
Yeah, I'm down with that because I've always like I had a moment this week where I was like, am I having a stroke or what? But like I didn't. But
Oh,
I don't know. We were
Answer's
at
a
an
nurse.
That's good. You can tell me the signs. So,
oh God.
but no, I was at an investigation, and this is just something I think we should all agree on to never try to scare kids like in a bad way.
Absolutely.
And I don't believe that every location needs to have a house blessing when nothing's happening. It was nothing was going on. Their stinky smell, their sulfur smell was straight up just a dry plumbing line. She was like,
I see. I too, the people that I usually investigate with, my friends and other investigators, we will try and debunk the hell out of someplace. Like, unless it's something that we're all like, I don't have any natural explanation at all for what just happened. I wouldn't even know where to start to debunk that. Like, but I do too. Like, I don't straight up just be like, oh, it's a spirit. Like, these are old freaking places. Usually they're falling apart. Stuff is tearing apart, falling from the ceiling. Like, there's usually a lot of explanations. But yeah, it takes a lot to be like,
okay,
that's it.
so I'm going to say this as bluntly as I can. So this bitch used to describe things as like, it sounded like The Conjuring, that they'd be like, a demon with four legs is crawling up the ceiling. And like, it scared people that don't need to be scared. Does that appear to you like that? Like, are you ever like, oh, that looks like the demon from Insidious?
So I've had a few instances of that. I will be very honest with you, as far as actual demons, which,
Are rare.
yeah, I mean, of course, there are different levels that can show up. It's not always like insidious or something, but
Yeah, yeah.
I will say it again. I've said it 1,000 times. If you were a trash human, you are not any better as a spirit. So, keeping that in mind, sometimes they can take on personas, sometimes they can change the way they look. So, they may present to
Oh,
you as this. So, it's kind of like figuring out what's what, if they're just trying a scare tactic and wanting us to go away, or what the deal is. But I have seen some crawlers before.
Okay.
I've seen, stuff come out of the floor. I've all the creepy crap you can think of. I've seen from the time I was little to now. So there's a lot of
How
stuff.
do you how do you not have IBS on an investigation then? Because that sounds terrible.
I'm not saying that I haven't like screamed before, because there's a few instances where I'm 100% positive that people have been recording and you hear nothing but profanity coming out of my mouth, because either I'm angry because they've done the whole jump in your face out of nowhere, or just something has, it's happened. I still get a little freaked out sometimes. I'm not saying I walk in and go, hey, I'm big and bad, but most of the time I'm just like, please, for the love of God, you're the 16th one this week. Can you try on somebody else? So
Oh yeah. Well, I believe we're coming up on the half-hour mark. It's time for them big old guest announcements. We'll see what they are.
And our first announcement of the evening, you knew he was coming, Mr. Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder.
Thank God.
Jason. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's Jason. Although, interestingly, on his IMDb, he's known better for Seven, Monster, Daredevil, and Hatchet. Although he was great in the Hatchet series. I will give him credit for being a hell of a Victor Crowley. Our other announcement tonight, Lisa Zane. Lisa Zane, straight from the request post on the fan group. I've seen her name pop up and pop up and pop up. Lisa Zane coming in. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and of course a whole bunch of other stuff. 58 acting credits to her name, but that's probably the one that unlocked the door for her this year, although she's been before. Lisa Zane. That's our two announcements. I want to go over the upcoming dates. March 1st, speaker and media applications go live on the website. So if you want to speak, if you want to give a seminar, if you want to give a presentation, we've had a lot of people asking about that. Mm-hmm. That is when they go live, March 1st. Media applications for our podcasters and print magazines and blogs and such, that will also be opening up March 1st. And then April 1st, the Scarefesting tattoo artist applications will become available, and staff volunteer applications go online. Now, let's talk about Kentucky's premier psychic and artist market, 1165 Center Parkway, Lexington, Kentucky, the Central Kentucky Mystical Market. New place, third weekend monthly pop-up at Tate's Creek area. They call it the pop-up at Tate's Creek Neighborhood Fair. But anyway, it's, Central Kentucky Mystical Market. Next date's coming up. It's just a one-day event this time. Sunday, noon to 5 p.m. on March 16th. March 16th. And I want to mention the Ravens Ball. Join us for a night of mystery and intrigue as we celebrate all things Edgar Allan Poe. Put on your best Gothic attire and dance the night away to hauntingly beautiful music. The event will take place on Saturday, September 6, 2025, starting at 8 p.m. at the Clarion Hotel in Lexington, Kentucky. Get ready for a night of darkness and elegance that you won't soon forget. Don't miss out on this unforgettable evening. Even if you're not buying your ticket yet, which you can go to mysticlunaevents.com. I want to get that right. mysticlunaevents.com. Just search Mystic Luna Events and you'll find it. But mark that on your calendar, even if you're not ready to buy your ticket. Still plenty of time, but don't miss out. Back to my guest tonight, Shay Smith. This is kind of a follow-up to what you and Katie were talking about. Do you ever, because I've witnessed this, working with paranormal teams and with psychics, do you personally, have you ever noticed that some psychics, when you try to work with them, investigate with them, that it's like you cancel each other out, like you create static for each other? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes. Yeah, it has. And vice versa. I've also had it where I have teamed up with somebody and been like, oh, dang, this is awesome. Like, our powers combine. Um, I will say first and foremost, a lot of psychics are very territorial and do not play nice with others. Um, I don't know why. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is a thing. And sometimes it could just be you're not, there's no animosity. It's just your energy just doesn't vibe with theirs. And I have seen where if you split us up and put us in separate parts of the building, sometimes you'll get very cool interactions that you can verify off each other. Um, but yes, there are some people that you just can't. They just don't mesh well with you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen both things happen. I'm one of those people. I call myself a psychic battery. Psychics tend to play well off of me. In other words, I don't mess them up. But
Right.
I've seen people that, separately, they're gifted psychics. But when you put them in a room together, I would not trust either one of them to tell me what's on TV in an hour. I mean, it was that bad. It just like they could not
I
work.
wonder if they blocked each other, just kind of like shielded too much.
I don't know that, but they were friends. And who knows? Maybe it was a three. Maybe I was the problem. Who knows? Maybe I was creating the problem, and it only works when I have two people. I don't know. Now, okay. Another part of your seminar was about protecting your spiritual gifts. At least that's the way it was worded in the thing.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? Protecting your spiritual gifts.
Ooh, there could be a lot of things, but mostly people who do have abilities. For me, we basically look bright and shiny to other things, to spirits, to all the stuff, basically anything you can think of. Also, people who are, as we know, they call them energy vampires, which is not a bad thing always.
Not always.
They just drain you.
It's not
Sometimes they
Colin
don't.
Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows.
God, no. There are some out there like him though, for the love of God, but I'm just using that term as an example. Ways to kind of protect your energy and kind of keep it to yourself so you're not constantly getting drained, not getting fed on, you don't end up with attachments, or you don't stick out or stand out too much when you don't need to. That's kind of what I mean as far as protecting it.
Any quick advice you would tell? Let me narrow it down. Let's say, do you think the average person who takes a ghost walk at, say, Waverly or wherever, do you think they need to do anything for protection?
Yes, I kind of think so.
Okay.
But it looks different to everybody. I mean, some people get nervous and pray. That's an protection. You could do a spell. I do a lot of crystals and stones and stuff like that because it's kind of a set it, forget it kind of deal. You don't really have to do too much once you get them on. Sage, everybody turns to that for stuff. You can burn it, you can spray it. I'm lazy. We have a spray bottle. Any way that you can find that it makes you feel protected, that is going to kind of cover you. And it changes with everybody's religious beliefs too. And I'm not saying one is better than another. Everyone might find a different way. Like, again, I use a lot of stones and crystals. There's some in my bra. There's always something in my pockets. Yeah, things like that. Cross necklaces, anything that's like a powerful object that you feel is important to you that gives you any type of protection you can use.
And the next time I see you, I'm gonna go, is that a crystal in your bra, or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah.
Katie.
Oh.
Don't do that to people, Wes. That's sexual harassment. But so I had a really good question and then I forgot it. So
Okay.
So here's a basic question. What's one place that is your dream place to investigate?
Holy crap. There's a lot. Jesus. Some of the forests in Japan.
Ooh, Okigahara. That one would be. I'm curious about that.
And there are some whole towns I would love to investigate. Edinburgh. I really would like to go to the castle.
I would love to touch
yeah.
stones there to see if I could find my way to like Jamie Fraser.
Already, girl. Yes. Don't let my boyfriend hear that, but yes.
Yeah. Like,
Get me all flustered.
I know.
I mean, I was in England and did an investigation there. I can just tell you the difference in what they have there versus what we have here in the US. I plugged into some stuff that had me just straight up channeling to where my face changed. Even people noticed my face changed. Like, so there are several places I could think of, but Edinburgh, Japan, Africa's got a place I would like to go to.
Ooh.
Also, I really want to go to the Winchester House. I know that's like compared to some of these, I'm just like, dang, yes, let me in there just because I want to know.
Yeah. I've always been curious about that. Is there a location that you think is kind of overrated?
That I've been to or that I
Yes, to both.
Dang, see.
Did you think Bobby? I'm gonna be honest. I've heard Bobby Mackey's was not as big as they thought it was.
All right, here's my 2 cents on Bobby Mackey's. I've been there. I had been there 6 or 7 times. I don't think it's a portal to hell. I'll just throw that out there. And people can say what they want and have their opinions, but I personally do not think there is a portal to hell there because there just isn't. Is it haunted? Was it haunted? Yes, absolutely. I made contact with certain things. We had amazing evidence, and certainly on the 3rd floor up in the apartment, Carl's apartment, my God, there was always something, and there was something creepy up there. It was a really cool place, but not a portal to hell.
Yeah, that's one thing I've discovered at being in Danville. One of the close locations is the Anderson Hotel in Lawrenceburg.
Okay, I've been told about this place like 7, 8 times now. So,
well, I asked the owner specifically. I was like, I was told that you won't let anybody in there because the paranormal activity in there's so dangerous that you can't have anybody take that risk. And he's like, yes, and that's basically what he did. He was like, bullshit. Really, I had people go up there to do like a seance and they left candles burning all night and left. And he's like, he said he was like that he charges like $100 a person, which I thought was outrageous for that tiny ass building. But he's like, I'm doing that just to weed out people that are fucking dumb. So that was one of them that I always heard was like kind of overrated. But what do you think about Waverly? Because I've been twice. I'm going again in May, and I don't believe what the energy is there is doctors and patients all of the time. I think it's other stuff.
First of all, I love Waverly. Immediately fell in love with it when I went there the first time. And as far as like not having that doctor patient energy 24/7, that's because there's different layers to hauntings. Okay. That's what I've come to discover. Depending on the time period, I feel like it's almost like a transparent sheet that gets laid over top of each other. So I was actually yelled at by a doctor, obviously a ghost spirit. Yeah. Because I had brought out my stethoscope and stuff and had been like, hey, I do this and this and this. And I didn't know at the time when I first went, I didn't know about it being a nursing home kind of care facility. Yeah. So I was like, I said, Kyle was with me, funny enough. Yeah. Kyle was in my little group of 3. And I said, Kyle, why is there a doctor who looks fairly recent yelling at me about PT orders for a patient? And he was like, oh, that's because of this, this, and this. And I was like, oh, that explains a whole lot. So I think Waverly gets the bad hype of being evil or dark. I didn't really get too much of a dark vibe there. I will say there is one entity that I did encounter that I would classify as something not normal and had bad intentions. But overall, I mean, it's just your standard old hospital, man. Like,
that's the only place I've ever almost needed to get a diaper. Like, it was on the 4th floor, and I was like trying to be really brave. So I was like, well, I'm gonna, walk down here without my flashlight on. and I hear this like right up against my head. My whole side of my
Yeah.
head went numb, and I saw a shadow figure, solid as you or me, peek out around the door. And I've never cussed so much in my life, and that's saying a lot. But I didn't run because
That's
if
good.
Steve and Tango were there, they would yell at me for running. So I just power walked. I got the fuck out of there. I don't think it was any. I I don't know if this makes sense, but like I told people, Waverly Hills is never going to be exactly what you expect. Like the
No.
first time I went was completely different than the second time I went.
I would like to go back and do another overnight. I haven't been there in several years, so just
Where are
throwing
you
that out
at?
there. Oh,
Are
I'm
you in Lexington?
Yeah.
Do you want to go in May?
Yes. Girl, I went when it was, oh my God, we went in August and I thought I was gonna die from a
Oh yeah,
heat stroke.
they built that damn thing on the face of the sun. Yeah.
I swear to
Yeah,
God,
I
it was
know.
like it was 3 a.m. and I'm literally like dehydrated as crap on the roof up there. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna become part of this building soon if we don't like find air at some point. But yes, I would love to go back, even though it'll be 105.
Well, I'll send you a Facebook message. So hell
Do
yeah.
it.
We are up on the third quarter of the hour. I think it's time I have to look at Joe Lewis.
I love Joe.
Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly, whose hair is truly amazing. I'm joking. I apparently found the conditioner. Anyway, this week I wanted to go out and watch Blurry Eyes, Starry Eyes, whatever that new slasher film is, and a couple of you have emailed me and asked me to do that, but I can't do it because my Valentine's Day was my 7.5-year-old. Not appropriate. Paddington 3, appropriate. So, this week we have a movie that I didn't get to see, and I was trying to figure out why. Hi, Ash. Eli. It's a 2019 horror film, and this is an actual horror film with ghosts and whatnot in it. And basically, what it's about is this little boy, let's say he's 10. He has an autoimmune disease, and that means he can't go outside, he can't breathe regular air, it'll kill him. So his mom and his dad basically have him, the boy, in the plastic bubble, and they are taking him to this mysterious hospital in the middle of nowhere to get him this basically newfangled treatment. And they've clearly, as you find out, have spent all their money, they're broke, to try to save him. Okay, when he gets there, though, the little boy starts to see things like other dead kids and starts to talk to a little girl who's outside the window, the young lady who's in Stranger Things with the red hair. And while this is going on, we start to figure out that maybe the doctor played by Lily Taylor is not all what she seems, or the people that work there. And there's something going on with Eli. And if you move all the letters of Eli around, all the different things you can say. Okay, I actually enjoyed this movie. The thing is if you're a certain age, there used to be these things called TV movies, right? In the 70s and 80s and sometimes in the 90s. And you know what a TV movie was. It was like, oh, this is great because it's free, it has ads, but it's not quite the same as going out to a movie. Some of them are pretty good, but just a regular 2-hour TV. This is what I think this is. Because it was made by Paramount. I was trying to figure out why it was dumped on Netflix 6 years ago. It's not terrible. In fact, it's a really good middle of the road TV movie with a third act and a payoff that'll either work for you or doesn't, but everything isn't what it seems. So if you're looking for a movie that has a child in danger, ghosts trying to communicate with said child, something going on with that child, the parents, and the people treating him, blood, people kind of not making it out alive, people lying, and demons, Eli is for you. Kind of really enjoyed this movie, even though it's not great. And it really kind of goes off the rails a lot of different places. Acting not great, execution not great, but for some odd reason that you've heard me complain about the ending in the third act, this one is enough for me to come back to. So not everybody is who they seem. Keep that in mind. And you may try to figure out what's wrong with the kid or whatnot as you go. You may get it, you may not. Plus, it stars Carrie Riley as the mom. You will probably know her from Yellowstone. I don't watch Yellowstone. She's in several other movies I like. I don't watch Yellowstone. But check it out, Eli, 2019 film. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. Okay, for the record, Katie, I have tried the turn the flashlight off at Waverly. It took me all of about a minute and a half to go, fuck. I ran right into a wall. Yeah.
The pipes will get you there. Like, I thought I was going to get a concussion from the pipes in the wall.
The bats got me.
Oh, the fucking bats. Yeah.
Yeah. The bats is what got me.
Yeah.
I had to debunk a bat for somebody. I've told this story. Basically, this is they call it an orb, and I slowed it down. And I don't even mean I used special software. I took my mouse and went and just hit pause. And I mean, it was bat shaped. I mean, you know, I said, that's a bat, dude. Anyway, this is from the chat room. Do the ghosts you encounter know they're dead?
Some do and some don't.
Don't you think the ones that say they don't, they're just deluding themselves up? In other words,
I wish I could think that, but the answers that I have gotten back from some things, it was just too, they truly did not know they had passed. And usually it was some sudden way, or they were in denial about what had happened.
Now, I'll go along with denial. But
I don't know. There's been a few times I've had some that I swear to you,
did you break
yes.
So you broke the news to him.
And I felt bad because this one spirit started like uncontrollably sobbing. And then like a couple weeks later, I even had someone tell me who was at that location again. And they're like, so we're still getting somebody who's crying. And I was like, oh my God, I broke a spirit. Like,
tough love, baby. Tough love.
Oh, I felt so bad though. But no, I've had not as many tell me that they didn't know they were dead as I have that are like, yeah, absolutely. I know I've kicked it.
I can walk through walls now.
Yeah.
I could not do that before the truck hit me.
Oh God.
Are all the I'm going to say ghosts, are they dead, or are some people have said that it's like the future and the present that are still haunting it? Like
those people are full of shit. That's my answer. Go ahead, Shay.
Oh, okay. Like, are they all the spirit of a dead person?
When you start talking about stuff like that, then you're getting into like quantum things and like dimensional and like time loops and stuff like I don't think I have enough evidence to say yes or no.
I mean, from respect that.
From what I've talked to, most of pretty much all mine have been passed or, dead. There's a few instances I've seen a few things where people have, and I'm not talking about doppelgangers. There is something that is different about seeing yourself or seeing a loved one who is currently alive. I do think there's some weird stuff that happens there that kind of blurs the line. So, yeah.
And this is just a question I've always had and never really had the courage to ask. Okay, so I've always wondered, can ghosts like leave their location, or is it like the Beetlejuice universe where the sandworm meets them if they leave the house?
I've seen it. I've seen it both ways. I've seen, because there's that whole, are you stuck? Do you need help? Some of them can't and some can. And I don't honestly know what makes the difference, because you could have somebody pass in that like the same way. Somebody might be stuck in the same room and somebody else is like, now I'm gonna go check on my like grandkids or something. So I don't know what makes the difference. I have asked spirits before. I've asked my guides. I've asked a lot of different things, and I still don't have like a clear answer.
It's always just something I've wondered about. Because like mentioning at the library that night that we had the book fall and all of that, we were on the 4th floor of the library, the other team was on the 3rd, and like an energy spike happened at that exact moment. So I was like, was it traveling through? What is it?
I think some of them choose to be stuck.
They're probably scared.
That's a good way to put it.
I don't know if it's a scared thing or if that's the last thing they remember. So that's this is where I have to be, obviously. Or I don't know. I think some of them make it their own kind of prison.
I know personally the one of the little girls, I've talked to her down at the Ross Opera House here in town. She claims
love
to have
that
gone
place.
all over the place, like neighborhood.
To go there so
you know,
fucking bad.
Matter of fact, the little boy that is allegedly seen haunting the place, according to what we've gathered, he lives like 2 or 3 buildings down. He just comes and visits. But once up in Maysville, we were investigating basically an apartment, and we had a ghost that we chased. We believe we had a ghost that we chased from one end of that apartment to the other that never left the apartment. Now, in that particular, he was anchored to the little boy in the apartment, but he would not. He either would not or could not leave that apartment.
I don't know if sometimes it makes a difference if it is a public space versus a private space. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
Like, I've wondered that, like libraries, restaurants, stuff like that, where it's a public space, you seem to like you can come and go quite a bit. But houses, hospital rooms, stuff like that, residential things, period. I feel like sometimes they're more stuck there than the others are. So I've got a lot of theories that I have yet to be able to prove yes or no. So
It's always thought provoking. You know, I'm gonna be honest. Like my paranormal team, I don't know. We're having a dry spell of like, I just can't tell what we're doing wrong of why we're not getting interactions. What's the best way to try to get a ghost to trust us? Because honestly, sometimes it's just like, you know, it doesn't happen on command.
oh no, it's the same thing I always say, that we always say at a lot of investigations. You go fishing, you don't always get a fish. Like, it's kind of that premise.
Yeah.
As far as getting someone to trust you, I mean, everybody can walk in and be like, you know, we're not here to do harm. We're actually just here. I want to learn. I just would like to speak with you. Yeah, I don't want to do anything else. I mean, that's it. It's just, remember, you're talking to the same way you would earn a human's, any other alive person's trust. What would you do? And sometimes it really doesn't matter what you do. Sometimes they just don't like the people. They just don't want to talk to you. They just don't connect with you. Or they just in general are like, please leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
If it's like a location that gets used a lot, we've all seen, I think, at some point where they're like, and we're done for the night. Thank you very much. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. So,
okay, that's a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it. So, so like we always investigate at nighttime because you know businesses are closed or whatever. But like, is it nighttime in Ghost World?
No. As far as I know, no. I mean, it's
are they like, I'm fucking in bed, man? Who are you?
I will say I had one time tell me it was time to leave because that was the official time that the investigation was supposed to be over, that was scheduled, and we said something, and we got EVP saying, "No, get out, leave." So
yep.
yeah,
it's done. Yeah,
I don't know. I do know that after midnight, in most places, and I don't know, we've decided that it could be based the fact that the people who are investigating by these late hours are tired, and they can no longer kind of use our energy that we might have been giving to them because we ain't got none. And then it'll stop at midnight, and then it seems to pick up around the witching hour, like 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. 3 to 4, things will pick up again. But I really do think a lot of times it has to do with how the people who are investigating are feeling. If you're tired, there ain't nothing left for them to take off of if they were taking from you. So, and in general, like if you think if an investigation is going slow and people aren't really interacting and nobody's laughing or nobody's having a good time, it changes. It kind of lowers the vibrations and what's in the room. Now, if you get people together who are cutting up, laughing, knowing to be serious and are interacting, it raises the level of the energy in the room, and it makes a difference. So,
Katie, I have an exercise for you and your team.
Okay.
You being in the drama field and everything.
Yeah.
Write a script for 2 or 3 members of your team. A casual conversation that you can have about what you ate that day, what you did, someplace you went. Don't talk about TV shows, stuff like that, because they may not have a reference point. But try to talk about something not to the ghost, but amongst yourselves that they might find interesting. But have your recording devices set back and, leave little pauses, but not pregnant, just pregnant pauses, not, but this stuff about, what year who was president? No, they're not interested in who was president when they died. I mean, but you'll find that the only thing ghosts hate worse than you bugging them is being ignored by you.
I don't even think
That's
it's
actually
that.
a good idea.
I've seen them try to actually interact with the conversation.
Yeah.
Even if it's about something freaking random. Some of the best evidence we have ever gotten, and I've ever gotten, has been in the middle of us usually doing something stupid where we're all laughing. We have had them interact into our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorite questions is, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream or candy, or something just random.
That's what Dustin Parry said we had a live ghost hunt last year, and that's exactly what he asked.
Yeah, it's those kind of things, because like Wes said, I mean, how many times can you get asked, do you know what year you died? How old are you? Like, I would start making up all these answers. Nothing would be honest with me. When I pass, I need my friends to know that. I will not give you the straight truth.
That's a good way to think about it, because, I feel this thing, because my team is full of people that laugh hysterically at everything. And there are certain members of my team I can't look at because I'll start busting out laughing.
Tell jokes.
So, but that's
Go
good.
for the
Like
interaction.
ghosts like that.
Yes, 100.
That's good to know.
I mean, it's not like they're watching Netflix, Katie. They need entertainment.
I don't know if I need to be serious and be like, I am here with respect.
No,
you can start. You can start that way if you're trying to earn trust. If that's how you choose to do it, but during it, no, man, they were human. Like, they had the normal human thing.
Be respectful, but you don't have to show them respect. I had a nun actually tell me through a psychic, tell this guy to lighten up, and that's when I changed. I said, you know what? I'll just be myself, my asshole self. And it's
I dig that. Like, that makes ghost hunting fun. Because, honestly, though, you are just sitting in a dark building by yourself.
Yeah.
You can be professional, but
talking to
walls.
Your
personality.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want the different personalities, because everybody's going to bring something different to the investigation, even if it's just through small talk.
That's good to know. Since we're coming up at the end of the hour, I think my last question is, what's your biggest pet peeve in the paranormal field? I ask that at every panel.
Oh God, where to start?
Last year, Dave Schrader was like, orbs. I fucking hate orbs.
Orbs, and constantly saying that a demon is trying to possess you, or saying that you are possessed on every single thing you do. That's that.
I just want to start looking at those people and be like, I'll show you possessed.
Okay, one last question from the chat room. Do you ever just get a feeling sitting at home where you feel like something is pulling you to a certain location or town and you just have to go there?
Yes, quite a bit, actually. There have been a couple of times there's a few local spots that I've taken my daughter to that we'll drive around and kind of find stuff. I've talked about it before. But there's also a bucket list I make while I'm sitting there. I might watch something on TV and start picking up stuff. And I'm like, oh, dang, okay, I didn't know that. Yes, that pull and the call to go places happens quite a bit. And if I didn't have a real life person job that I have to do every day, I would probably be traveling all over the place.
Jobs are the worst. Anyway, that's been Scarefest TV. Let's call it a night. Everybody, don't forget we have announced Kane Hodder and Lisa Zane tonight. And next week we'll be back with a celebrity guest. Not that Shay is perfectly wonderful. No, this guy's actually famous. It's we've announced it's Tom Matthews. I should have put his banner up here, but I didn't. So anyway, Tom Matthews is scheduled for next week. We will see you then.
Bye.